Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of AM and the PM with Amanda and Mark. Amanda, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Today we have Brandi and Jordan as our guest couple.
What's up, guys?
Hey, guys.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yes.
Nice.
Thanks for inviting us over.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming into the shack here,
Yeah.
the studio working on here. So, first guest couple. That's important. First guest couple in the studio.
Yes.
Whoa.
That is, you're christening. You're christening it.
I
That's
feel
a big responsibility.
it is.
Yeah.
You know,
And
Yeah.
I think that we can do this.
Yeah.
we'll do our best.
Yeah.
We can
Great power
make
comes
this
great
happen.
No
responsibility.
pressure, right?
No pressure at all. We normally start with some context. I don't know if Amanda wants to.
Well, I just want to say I'm really excited to have you guys on, and I know Brandi from work, and I remember when I went back to work after the quarantine, I started talking about my podcast, and Brandi's like, "Oh yeah, I've listened to
Her
like
podcast.
a ton of them,"
Yes.
and I was just like, it made me so happy. So just thank you guys for listening,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
appreciate
was
the support.
excited for you guys. So
Thank
I was like,
you.
I'm interested to see, what goes on.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
So
Yeah. So obviously we have couples on, so we just kind of dive into how you guys became a couple, how you met.
yeah.
Let me set the stage right now. I'm trying with every fiber of me not to interrupt constantly because that's the kind of
Yes,
person
yes,
Oh.
I am.
You can do that.
Don't
That
hold
is-
back.
Yes, this
I'm
is
going to try not to do that to
No,
everybody.
don't hold back.
Yeah. He does it to me constantly. Just if we are having a conversation.
Mark
and
will
I'm
go
like,
on for like
Authenticity.
7 years.
Yeah, you're probably gonna.
He
interrupt
will
me, yes.
he'll ask you a question and it'll be like this long of a
It's true.
5
Yeah,
sentences
it's
for
true.
one
It's true.
question. So
Yeah.
you have to sometimes.
Springboard right into our most common issue is me interrupting and not listening and fighting that battle every day.
Okay, so we met on Tinder.
Tinder, nice.
Tinder.
Not a sponsor, by the way.
Not a
No.
sponsor yet. Yeah,
We-
Tinder. If you're
not
listening,
you're not our first guest couple that said they've met on Tinder.
we should keep a list.
Yeah.
Just like
yeah,
just
we
keep,
do.
Just keep like
Running
how
list.
everybody has met.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I know a lot of people that have met on Tinder. so.
Yeah, but I had gotten out of a relationship, and I was like, you know what? I never did this online thing, so I just put it up and see what you come up with. You come up with some really weird things, but I mean, his one picture just really caught me. He had a blow up guitar and just jamming out. Really showed his fun side.
For my brother's wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't remember that picture. But
Well, I don't remember it being taken. I remember putting it on the website.
But yeah, it actually, I think, took us a couple of weeks before we went out. But I know that before we went on our first date, he had said, I'm having a housewarming party because he had just moved into his house. And
Reminiscing. It's like, oh,
and,
what is this?
he goes, do you want to come over? He goes, my family's pretty much like throwing it for me. I go, you want me to come over? We've never met before. But I'm going to meet your family the first time I meet you.
Let me just recognize that I understand looking back how weird that was. It's not a surprise to me. I can't
I'm
really
so-
justify it.
I'm actually surprised we still went out on a first date after that comment.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I'm
me
like,
too.
this is really weird.
So you didn't
And
go.
I did not go.
Okay.
Thank God.
And
How weird would that have been to start?
yeah.
That would have been very weird.
When did your family even find out about me? They would have been like, who is this?
Yeah, it would have been that day. Yeah.
Who is this?
So
That's
here's
Brandi.
the thing with internet dating that I never really liked. So I was on those websites, apps, since as long as I can remember, since it became a thing, right? Just
Yep.
using them the way that people say you should use them
Yeah.
until this situation. But you always get to a point where, okay, you're talking back and forth for days, turn into weeks, turn into who knows how long.
Yeah.
Then you never meet somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was at a point where I was like, man, I just, I want to actually meet somebody on these webs. So I did a lot of things throughout our courtship that I wouldn't normally have done. And look at you now.
Yeah,
There you
I
are.
think he surprises himself every day with the things that he does. So
I suppose that's the difference between dating somebody that you don't feel a future in and I mean, I felt a difference in literally talking to her before I met her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is, it's interesting to look back and think about, yeah, how silly was it I was saying those kinds of things. But when you're in the situation,
Yeah, you
you're
just wanted
feeling
to meet
differently
her.
than you would normally
Yeah.
feel, and
Definitely.
you're saying things you wouldn't normally say.
Right.
And this is a very good example of me really being outside of my
Comfort zone.
comfort
Mhm.
zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been in past relationships where it's been like 3 years long, a year and a half. Like, I've been in some long-term relationships, and I don't think you've been in like one
Oh,
relationship.
me, zero.
Zero.
Until us, my longest relationship, the one previous to you, I don't know that I would call that much of a relationship, even though it did last for like a year.
Yeah, that's the one. I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what you're referring to. That was weird. Back and forth, in and out of dating and not dating. But yeah, before our relationship, I hadn't been serious with anybody for longer than a month or two.
Mm.
And I'm, 28 at that point. So
Yeah.
much different experiences coming into it from our opposite
Yeah.
ends.
So it was quite different. But our first date, it's my favorite story. Not a lot of people actually know this story. Our first date, we met at Table 86. That is no longer. He was about 20 to 30 minutes late. I just sat at the bar.
You had to leave with that part?
Yeah.
So much
I leave with it every time because you're surprised I was still there. Yeah. And then, well, before we go on the date, he goes, "Do you mind if, another couple comes, like one of my good friends?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever."
Let me interrupt. This is one
At
of
least
those
he asked.
things that internet dating creates,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
How many times
You should-
have you, I don't know if you guys, how long you've been together, but how many times have you gone on a date from a website or app and it's been so weird and not what you expected or hoped for? So that got me to a point through Tinder to where I started bringing friends. I just started bringing friends on these Tinder dates because it was just to the point to where I had no expectation of it being anything enjoyable. So that wasn't the first time that I brought friends on a Tinder date,
No.
but that's what we
He's
did.
got some good Tinder stories. I do.
Oh my
For
goodness.
another
I do have to
time.
say, I've never downloaded Tinder. I just always had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
kept kangarooing.
my
horrible.
past relationships, one, I met at college. Another one I met while I was at a bar, and another one was at a bar. So I'm like, let's switch it up because none of those have worked out.
Yeah.
So
So where'd we go on our first date? To a bar.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were 20 to 30 minutes late.
yes, 20
Maybe.
30 minutes late.
Maybe 10 minutes.
Did
And
you come the
then-
same time as your friends?
No, I actually did get to meet him prior to his friends coming, so that was nice.
So they were an
And
hour
why
late.
why was he late?
He was.
It was traffic.
working. It was in
It was
Cranberry, yeah.
traffic. I
Okay.
so we live near Ambridge,
They were there.
and this place is in almost,
Yeah, we
7
were at
fields
your
area. You were there, yeah.
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 So you know where I live. So I had to go all the way across. It's normally a 30-minute drive, but sometimes right in Cranberry, where the big
Yeah.
intersection is,
Around
it just
dinner
gets all
time, yeah.
clogged up around that time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
Yeah.
just couldn't get through.
Yeah, there's
So-
been plenty of times where Mark has been late to
Yeah.
a lot of things
Yeah.
because of
Well, if
traffic.
Jordan can be late to something, he will be late.
I'm just glad I have an
All the
excuse this time.
time.
Normally I'm just late because I don't want to go.
Yeah. So yeah, I did get to meet him first beforehand, and then I had already had probably 3 beers by then because I'm super nervous because I'm meeting somebody off the internet, and I don't.
Good thing to
I
be
don't know.
intoxicated when you meet them.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's ideal.
It calms my nerves a bit. But yeah, I met, and then his friends showed up, and we ate dinner, and it wasn't weird at all. It was casual, and
It was another couple. Let's state that for the record.
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I
Yeah.
brought 4 of my boys. To
Yeah, it would be
It was
weird
another
if it was
couple.
like
We double dated.
yeah.
So it wasn't that awkward or anything like that.
Yeah, but then we.
Although I have done that in the past on a Tinder date where there's one of those stories. It was like a Penguins playoff game. She's like, "You want to go to dinner? Okay. Well, the Pens are playing Game 3 tonight. My buddies are going to Roland. Do you want to go there? Okay." And that's what happens. This wasn't like that.
Jordan can just choose.
So then
But-
how long did you guys go on dates or hang out before you made it official?
You put me on Facebook in February.
Yes. When was Beer Fest?
3 months. Beer Fest every year is in February.
Is it February?
That's
yeah,
when
the end of
we
February.
were at
Yep.
Beer Fest, and I was blackout drunk, and you put it on Facebook.
I know.
think
I'm
you
gonna
told me.
make it official on Facebook.
Yeah,
But I mean,
wasn't fair.
our
He didn't
Our-
even know. He couldn't consent.
our anniversary date is technically we made it our first date, just because that's the only date in our minds that we remember. So we just made it that. So it's actually going to be 3 years in like
Say the date. Say the date.
November 11th.
That a girl.
Ours is
So it is-
September 9th.
Yeah. So, but what we went. So I think like our second or third date was when we did Billy's.
Yeah, it was in December.
Yeah.
So it was about a month in. They do a Frank Sinatra night. They have impersonators, Frank and Dean Martin.
That was one thing that we had in common, like on our first date when we got done dinner, we moved over to the bar and we were talking about like, you know, what do you like to listen to and all this stuff. And he's very old fashioned, surprisingly, but I love like old music, Frank Sinatra, like that's what I grew up with my grandparents. So I was like, really? You like that type of music? This is
I'm like a
weird.
60-year-old, 30-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, well, this bar that I go to does, you know, this Frank Sinatra night. So that was our next outing. And was it that time that we were dancing and you tried to dip me?
No,
Was that the June
that
one?
wasn't the first time that we went, I don't think.
Second time.
Might have been the second time.
I know. But
So I get it in my head sometimes when I go to certain events that I need to drink whiskey on the rocks rather than a beer, right? If I'm feeling classy, maybe I'm at a wedding. Maybe I'm listening to Frank Sinatra and he's wearing a tie. I don't know.
See,
It could
he
be any
dances
number
in
of
the kitchen
things.
to Frank Sinatra. while
Or
he's
maybe
drinking.
I'm dancing in the kitchen in my socks and I'm drinking whiskey. In any event, that night I was drinking whiskey and maybe it was close to double digits. I don't know.
It was
But
a lot.
it was a lot. And we were dancing, you know, towards the end of the night.
He was
and
feeling himself.
I was feeling myself as I do, and I thought I could dip her, and it was
And
I was completely
I was
wrong.
on the floor.
I've never dipped anybody worse in my life. Like, I didn't even break her fall.
No.
It was like I went
It
to
was
dip
like-
her and
You just
threw
threw
her.
her.
Yeah.
It was
really
really
did.
no help. I didn't get my support leg in place. And, yeah,
so
she
other
ended up on
people
her
are
back.
like, yeah, dancing, and I'm like, there's a bunch of people like around me, and he doesn't even like offer to help me up. He lays on
Do
top
the
of me
opposite. It's
and
better.
says, just relax. And I'm like, get off of me. Like,
I don't think I said just relax. That
No,
sounds creepy
it
as
was- you're like,
Just
nobody can see us. And I'm like, I think everybody saw that.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
everybody saw it.
And my brother is
Not a
there
very big
too.
place.
So,
It's like, who is this guy?
My brother told me later, he goes, so when Jordan dropped you, you know, someone made the comment, you know, your sister's on the floor. He goes, no, I don't know her. I don't know those people.
No help.
No. So,
That's so funny.
But these are the kind of things, I mean, back to how these things impact a relationship. You know, there's a lot of people, from my perspective, a lot of women who would not handle these things very well and obviously would say, that's insane. What are you even talking about? And Brandi's responses to these situations and the fact that we can laugh about it now.
I was
think
laughing
ultimately-
then.
Yeah.
She was laughing in the moment. And ultimately, that's the
Getting
personality
mad.
that I think.
That'd be just dumb if you got mad about that.
But you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
how
He
often
tried to be
that can happen.
romantic and did me. That's what the thought that counts, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your reaction to that is, I think, why we're here today.
Yeah.
Our personalities, I would laugh it off too. And that's what I think makes us so good together is the fact that we both look at the situation the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when we told your mom, she's like, you did what, Jordan?
Yeah, she didn't think it was as funny as I did.
But, yeah, that's, yeah, I mean, I did forget one note for our first date. I could have gone without it, but it's pretty important.
I'm not even sure what you're going to say.
After our first date, we said goodbye in the parking lot. He gave me a kiss, and I'm driving home. And
This is the best part.
I know, and I almost forgot about it. This is what people.
I didn't
most
know we were
people
going to go
don't
down
know.
this road, but okay.
This is what most people don't know because I've only told a couple people. But I'm driving home, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to go home. Like, I had such a good time. So I texted him, and I was like, can I come over? So he gave me.
I can't have it.
So he gave me his address, and as I'm driving, I mean, you guys have been there. I'm driving in the dark to this place. I'm like, oh my God, like I might be murdered out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, for someone who's never been there, it's like the scariest place
Yeah.
you can
And
drive
I've
to.
just met this person. Like I
It's
had
very
to be
daring
out
on
of
her
my
side.
mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I
very
was
true,
like, I don't do things out of my comfort zone very much. So I was like, you know what?
That's just fun.
With my past relationships, I didn't really take risks or anything. But so I get there, and the first thing that's really weird is one, I open the door and he has a dog, which is what my old family dog used to. I was like, well, this is weird.
This is scary.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was dog sitting for my
Yeah.
daughter. I didn't even own a dog at the time.
yeah. So get in there, and then we hung out and stuff, and then one thing leads to another, and first date.
Exactly what you're thinking happened.
Just went to sleep.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can take a wild guess what happened.
Yeah.
You know.
We just went to sleep.
It ended
That's
like
how
every
we're
other
here,
Tinder date that
right?
anyone's ever been on.
There you go. We weren't gonna be out of the ordinary and not end it like a Tinder date. So,
Yeah.
but he was actually my first date that I was ever on for Tinder. Like I didn't go on any other dates. He was like the only one.
Yeah, me too.
You wish. You wish you found you earlier, so you didn't have to go through all the traumatizing dates.
Traumatizing. There's all kinds of different
So
stages.
how long did you guys date before you moved in?
So when I was living in my other apartment, I hadn't even made it because I moved out of one apartment with my ex, had to find another apartment like on the fly. Somehow my mom found me this apartment. But so he's moving into his house and I'm just moving into an apartment. So it was probably
It was a year and a half.
It was a year and a half, but after 6 months, he was asking me to move in with him. And I said, my past relationships, I moved way too fast.
It's another example of something that I'm shocked that I was talking about
Yes.
when I talked about it. Like it doesn't make sense in my head now looking back. But
Yeah.
in the moment, I was like, this
Yeah.
is the right move. This is what needs
Why
to happen.
not?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? With my past, I'm not doing this right now. I need to live on my own, still, figure out what my next steps are too. So
I hated driving to her apartment.
that's really why he
Yeah.
I
asked me
hated
to
it so
move in.
much.
Yeah.
It's a half
Feel
hour
that.
each way. After work all day. I hated it so much.
Feel that.
Yeah, he dreaded it every time. So yeah, that's why he did
That
it.
wasn't
He
the whole-
did it to save himself. But yeah, it was
Selfish.
a year and a half. Then my lease was up on the apartment, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And then after a month of living together, we decided to get a dog. So that really tests your relationship on top of already living with somebody new.
And then there was a global pandemic that happened, and we got to spend every waking second together for 6 months. And we learned a lot, I think, in that time. I mean,
Really, you were still
really, if
working.
you're unsure about a relationship, lock
Yeah.
yourselves together in a house for 6 months and see what happens.
That's
The
true.
fact that we still love each other after that tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
There's
That's
nothing that's
true.
going to test you more than what this
Yeah.
year's done.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes, very much so. But I mean, it was nice for him. I mean, he was still working. He moved to the basement to work, and I mean, we were home for 2 months or so.
Yeah.
I was-
Unemployed.
Yeah,
Doing.
yeah, it was actually
Didn't
really
have
nice.
anywhere to be, anything to do. Had
No.
to literally make up your own. I had to make up my own routine, or I would go nuts.
I was probably the best housewife ever. I mean, I made him lunch on his breaks, and I was making dinner.
Yeah.
And it was great. All the laundry was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great for you.
Yeah, well, yeah. If I get to a point where I make enough money,
He's like,
that'll
I
be
didn't
the
have
rest
to do
of our
anything.
lives.
Right.
I would take that over your salary any day of the week. Yeah, for sure.
That would be nice. That would be real nice. So, yeah, a year and a half. And now we're still going. Have a puppy. Have our own little family.
Did you guys grow up with dogs or animals?
Yes.
Pets?
I had one.
Yeah, I had a dog growing up. How long? I was like 14, 15 when he died. Something like that. So most of my life I had a dog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've mentioned it or you've seen or heard of our episode we have about Mark never had any pets.
Never
Oh,
had any
yeah.
pets. Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah, because I know that you guys talked about if you were to live together and, well, not if. When you live together,
Yeah.
you're going to have.
Yeah.
My cat, yeah.
How does that shape your opinion of having pets?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting topic. Like, I mean, and we always try to get that perspective from other people. Is like, Amanda has a cat. We talked about this. Like, if she's still
11.
living, you know,
If
she's got to
she's
come. Oh, she's getting old. Yeah, but like, I mean, regardless, though, talked about like a little Yorkie to kind of, you know, compromise there. And
last night he said to me, we were at my aunt's house and her dog was running around. You know, she's a puppy, like, but she's like a big puppy now. You know, not like this little thing. She like got bigger, and he's like, oh my gosh, she's like a horse. And he's
well, you guys
like,
actually have a horse, right?
Yeah, sure do.
he's like, I changed my mind about getting a Yorkie.
She's medium-sized at best, okay? She's
Yeah.
not tiny like a Yorkie, but
Yeah.
she's less than 100 pounds. I mean, she's not
She's
gigantic.
50. She's
yeah,
50 pounds.
Yeah.
She's a giant lap dog.
But
which-
she is, in every sense of a lap dog. She is a lap dog. She thinks she's 6 pounds. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. She does not
Jumps
get
on
it.
you.
Yeah.
She does. She likes to creep up on you and then just lay down.
Oh.
She's
So.
really sweet. We're lucky. You know, she's
Yeah.
not at all aggressive in any sense of the word. Not at
Mhm.
all. So the fact that she's big is just, it's awkward
She's just
sometimes, but
dopey,
it's
yeah.
not a big deal. Yeah, she's a big
She's
dope.
pretty clumsy. But I mean, definitely having her in the beginning of me living there with him, I think we just like fast tracked everything
Mhm.
because it's kind of like when she was a puppy, she wasn't, you know, potty trained. Potty trained?
Yeah, that's good enough.
Potty
They
trained?
get it.
They
She
get
wasn't,
it.
yeah, she wasn't potty trained yet. So in the middle of the night, like if she needed to go out, it's just like if the baby cries in the middle of the night, who's going to get up? So, you know,
Yeah.
we were taking turns with that. And that really helped me see, like, it doesn't make me so nervous now. Like when we do start a family, like I can rely on him. So
She has no idea how often I fake being asleep.
oh, I know. It's like every morning you fake being.
Yeah, now I do. Now I do.
Yeah.
I didn't as much back then, but now I kind of do.
Mark thinks he'll change. He always makes a joke that I'll change all the diapers.
Yeah.
To be fair, Mark, we're professionals.
We
I
are.
leave it to
We,
him. I leave it to him. You know.
we
If
do.
somebody was
It could do
calling the
like-
house and
we
we need to answer a bunch
We
of
do
calls in a row,
professionally
I would
change
do it.
diapers. Yes.
Answer a bunch of calls.
But I mean, you're a professional, so.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it made me a little nervous when he says, you know, I will never change a diaper. And I'm like, you're going to change a diaper.
Yeah, we change enough diapers.
You're really good at it, though.
Yeah.
Like, you're really
down.
good.
Well, you're gonna learn today.
Right. Like, I don't.
Not today.
ever-
Not today.
Not
Not
today.
today.
Special
Not-
doing.
Not today.
Yeah. Well, that would be funny if I was pregnant and I announced it during an episode.
Not today.
That would be crazy.
It
Well, we'd
would.
have it recorded and everything.
Yeah.
Think about
Oh,
that.
that might be a good proposal idea, Mark.
Wow.
Easy.
Oh, that's a
Wow.
good
Easy
idea.
happening.
What are we-
I'm getting out of here. Sign up for all this.
No, we do talk about, like, I don't know, proposals and rings and all that. How we would, you know.
Yeah. Any plans, guys?
She's not making any plans. I might be.
No,
If-
we
If
talked
I am
about
making
it.
plans, I'm not going to tell you all about it right now.
I might be listening. No, we actually, I was like a month or two ago, I just like, I wasn't unsure about a relationship. It was more of, okay, we're coming up on 3 years. Nothing, I mean, yeah, we're living together now for over a year. And I'm like, where is this going?
Where's the ring?
Where is this going? Because, I mean, my past relationship, I was living with somebody for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
3 very long years and nothing.
Thanks, Guy. Really set the stage for me there.
So,
Did you talk about it with your past relationship at least, or no? Was
Yeah,
it?
I mean, we always did talk about how we were going to get married, but I mean, he was just very unstable with jobs and stuff. So
Okay.
it really wasn't a good position in any way to start off. And that's when I got out. Thank God. Thank God. But yeah, I just brought it up to him. And I mean, because we're very open, and he would know if something was really bothering me. So I couldn't keep it pent up anymore. And I'm like, so, you know, are we like, if we were looking at like a proposal, are we looking at like within the next year, like 3 years down the road, like what can I expect? Because I don't want to have this conversation in another 3 years, because then it's just way too long.
I assured her it'd be less than 3 years.
Yes.
Definitely by the time we're 40.
Yeah.
You know, I've been very honest with my intentions. I'm 100% confident that we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. The fact of when and how it happens, there's different moving parts to that type of situation. Not just the proposal itself, but you know, you want to have your life together to a certain point.
Definitely.
Especially from my perspective as a man. You know, there's a pandemic. I went through a period of a couple years where I was in and out of jobs, back and forth. You want some stability before you ask somebody else to step into that situation and say yes. So there were a lot of moving parts, and as things become more stable, you know, those things become more realistic. So.
Yeah, I mean, with that conversation, he goes, like, I don't have a ring right now. He goes, but I'll get down on one knee and propose to you if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the ring.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't want you to have any doubt in your mind. And I was like, I don't anymore.
That was well done.
Yeah.
Respect there. That's nice.
Yeah, he does good. He means well.
I do. I don't always know the right things to say, but yeah, I get close enough.
Yeah.
Just somewhere around.
He's still learning. It's okay. He's okay. So, but yeah, that's where we are with that.
For context, too, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but how old are you guys actually? Like, how old are you guys right now?
What's this year? 20?
I'm
32.
I'm 23, and I thought I was 22 when we were doing an episode, and I was like, yeah, I'm 22, and Mark and my friend were like, Amanda, you're 23, and I was like, oh.
She said her incorrect age on the air.
Nice.
Yeah, I had my birthday over the quarantine, but I honestly feel like after I turned 21, it vanished. I forgot.
Yep.
And I'm only 23.
I literally don't think about it until someone says happy birthday to me. It never crosses my mind for any reason.
He hates birthdays.
It's not that I hate them. They're just insignificant to me.
Even last night,
Whatever.
I had to like get re-guess. Like, oh, I'm 23 now. Yeah.
How old am I?
Yeah. I'm 29.
Gotcha.
So, coming up on 30 next year.
Big
So we
month.
gotta
30,
plan a big
30,
party.
flirty, and thriving.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
So marriage sometime soon.
Oh,
Within
yeah.
the next 3.
There's
Within
no
the-
question in my mind that it's coming. It's just a matter of working out the kinks, so to
Yep.
speak. Yeah.
I feel you. We're kind of in the same boat, obviously. We've been together for 4 years, so
Yeah, but we also,
we don't have a house. So
still live with our parents, trying to
figure that
move out and
Yeah.
stuff.
totally understand the moving parts discussion, though. Yeah, you don't want to jump into something like that because if you want to be, like you said, just a lot of stability and
Yeah.
everything like that. It's you don't want to bring somebody into that. That's definitely.
Well, yeah, like she was talking about her previous relationship. They were together 3 years, but she said he was in and out of
Yeah.
jobs.
Yep.
His situation wasn't
Yeah.
stable.
Yeah.
Why, regardless of whether you love somebody or not, if that's their life, why are you going to say, yes, let's do this together?
Right.
If they're not showing effort or at least making progress and getting things together, I wouldn't ask somebody to say yes to that, let alone expect them to say yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my outlook on it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that you kind of, so far though, especially in this last year, like have acted sort of like you were married in a sense? Like to what extent? Like things that I always think about, like, just using us as the example is like once we move in together, obviously, like you said, it's very interesting to get to know people's tendencies, and then like you brought pets into it, like finances and things like that. Like how does that all start to, have you thought about that? Have you started to mesh any of those things together or?
Yeah, I'd say overall we are acting the part.
Yeah.
We still have separate bank accounts, because I think
Yeah.
that's reasonable.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of if something needs to be taken care of, we're working together on whatever the bills are, whatever the money going out is, expenses. That's something that we both have a hand in, and we're open in those discussions. And yeah, I think we're definitely acting that part.
Yeah, I mean, when I moved in, we pretty much established he takes care of the outside work and I take care of the inside work. Even though he gets the
Division of labor.
even though I make him clean the bathroom, but that's how he gets out of things too. He goes, I really don't want to go there. I'll clean the bathroom. And I was like, okay.
I'll do anything to get out of certain things.
Compromise.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, I say, yeah, definitely acting the parts, arguing, getting petty with each other, learning each other's, how to push,
It has to happen.
Not to push buttons.
It has to happen. If you're not arguing, you're not being honest with each other.
Yeah.
And if you're not being honest with each other, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So those petty arguments where you're both stubborn and screaming about something that doesn't matter, those have to happen every time you're feeling it. And I like that we can do that and in 5 minutes get over it and say, that was stupid. What are we even talking about?
Yes. And we actually talked about this on the way up was back when I was in my apartment and I was putting up curtain rods and he was there to help me because I don't have tools or anything.
This was early on.
I feel like you
This
told.
was very
I feel
early.
like you told me this story.
So, I just started like arguing. I forget what it was even about, but maybe something wasn't straight or he was doing it a different way that I would have done it, which I shouldn't have asked for his help if he was going to do it.
I was just going to say that. Imagine you ask someone for assistance doing anything and then argue with them about the way they're helping you.
Yes.
Just put that in perspective. So this is where she's about to tell you the rest of the story. This is where my head, I'm here helping something, and apparently I don't remember exactly the details of what the argument was, but arguing with me about the way I'm helping, essentially.
Yeah. So he just yells at me. He goes, stop speaking to me like I'm a fucking toddler. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay. And nobody has ever like talked to me like that. Like my past relationships, they just kind of, if I said roll over, they'd do it. So like I could just push them like to any sorts of boundaries. But with him, he like stood his ground and I was like, okay. And I walked out of the room because I was mad that he did that because I've never had someone do that to me.
It wasn't initially smooth when I said that. She was fired up. She walked out. I started getting ready to go home.
Yeah.
We were
he was
pissed off at each other. This was our first real fight at the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, after he had left, I immediately called my mom. I go, Mom, you will not believe what just happened. I go, Jordan just like put me in my place. And she goes, really? She's like, good for him.
Oh.
And what she did, like, thank you later on.
Joyce did. She said she was proud of me. She said Brandi needed that. She thanked me. So Joyce, if you watch this later or listen to it, appreciate that.
So yeah, she's always told me that like I need somebody to like balance me out because I can tend to be a little too powerful, and he balances me very well. So. But
that situation, what it really comes back to is respect. If you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, you can disagree all you want, and you should, because no one agrees all the time, and that's weird if you do.
Yeah.
But the way you approach it, the way you talk to your significant other, there should be a level of respect there. And with her, and this might be the same case with you, working with kids constantly, you have a tendency when you want someone to do what you want and you're trying to get a point across, you talk to them like they're a toddler. Right? And that got under my skin so bad. She was talking to me like I couldn't understand. Like I was too stupid to do what she was saying, right? She wasn't approaching me like an adult. And that's where my reaction came from is you can disagree and you can tell me what you're thinking without making a fuck out of me. Excuse me, I don't know if we're...
There's no rules.
So that was my point of view in that situation. That's where my quote unquote blow up came from. Whoa, I don't know what you think this is.
Yeah, occasionally, I still do it, and he'll still tell me that I'm doing it. So
And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I would expect the same from her. If I'm talking to her and I'm being shitty and I'm making her feel that way, I would expect her to tell me. And I'm sure if she said it the way we were just talking about it, I would recognize, okay, wait, I need to take a step back and look at the way I'm speaking to her because I know I wouldn't put up with it.
There was actually one time where like I told him like I'm like, why are you like saying this right now? Like just chill out. I go, I'm not like mad or anything, and he's like freaking out. And after like 5 minutes, he comes over and he just hugs me. He goes, I'm sorry. I was like, okay, we're good.
Happens to everybody.
He goes, I didn't realize. So
I don't even remember this situation, so I can't speak to it. What we're talking about.
I mean, I don't remember what it was about, but
Yeah.
So
That seems really healthy.
it
Like
is.
a really healthy relationship trait. I'm listening to this conversation and I'm thinking like, you know, we've had other guests on, other guest couples, and like most of them have been like, you know, younger than you guys, right? Like not to say you guys are old. But
Are
you
you
know,
calling
But
them
I'm
we
not,
are.
old?
I'm not calling you
But
old.
we are.
Are you
I'm
calling them old?
I'm saying they have a couple more years experience than us,
We do.
and
Yeah.
especially
Perfectly reasonable.
and really
Yeah.
really importantly, more relationship experience than us, and relationship experience at a time where they were more mature and probably like understood things a little bit better. Like, you know, so now you're in a relationship and you guys been together for almost 3 years here, and you're, you know, obviously you're moving in together, but like Brandi has had relationship experience, and you know, maybe yourself as well, Jordan, but like experience like with somebody else in somebody else's house, so you can kind of like pull from those experiences. And you know, I just think it's really interesting to hear all the things and the good insight that you guys are giving, because these are things that people just don't talk about, and I don't understand why people don't talk about them more, because this is how you have a good fucking relationship.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, from my dating experience, so I don't have the experience living with somebody or anything like that. Like I said, my past relationships were brief on the grand scheme.
Right.
But what I saw a lot, especially with the internet dating, is go on a couple dates. That first fight, it's over. People can't argue and get over it.
Right.
And that always drove me nuts. And that was something that I think drew the honesty out of me in this relationship is we got to be able to fight about things and not let it ruin your relationship, and not let it, whether it's a relationship, a friendship,
Yeah.
whatever. If you can't disagree, argue, and come back together, you never should have been dating in the first place.
Right.
And that's something I saw a lot in my past experiences. Oh, you're mad. Okay, it's over. See ya. And you just go on to the next swipe or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad cycle to get people get in it a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He goes, I've always just been so upfront because this is how I am. I'm not going to like hide who I am to, you know, kind of feel things out. He goes, I've been very blunt with you on everything of our relationship. So he goes, you've handled it very well so far.
Passed all the checks here.
Yeah.
All the
Funny.
tests.
Well, it goes both ways. You know, my honesty and upfrontness about things that maybe have caused problems in the past, or things that maybe I'm not even happy with about myself, whatever it is, it's not about her checking all, you know, I'm passing her test too. So me being upfront is, this is what you have to deal with. Is this okay with you?
Yep.
Not, can you handle it? Is it okay with me? Do you want to continue with this? You know, so it goes both ways. You know, if I talk about how I hate going places and I don't want to go to public, is she okay with that? You know, am I gonna?
I've learned.
Is it gonna drive you crazy?
So
You know?
good.
Yeah.
So it's all about, you know, I go places.
Will you
but
come
it's
pick me
all
up
about
at 2
balancing.
a.m. if I call you hammered
No.
drunk?
Or well,
Exactly, yeah.
that's
No.
that's the same thing with Mark. Like he doesn't always like going to places with me that involve alcohol because he doesn't drink.
Yeah.
And it took him like 3 years to realize, like, hey, it's
I still
okay.
don't fully realize this.
It's okay if you go on your own. Like he
Yeah.
he almost wants to come with me because he wants to like make sure I'm safe and make sure I'm okay, which is like sweet. But then when I'm like trying to have a good time with my friends and he's over there in the corner being annoying, like it's not going to be a good
It's happened
time.
once or twice. Maybe.
It's not going to be a good time. So yeah. So
I don't know. I enjoy his company. What like anything that we're doing, I always like to invite him to things, but a lot of the time he's like, I really don't want to go, and I'm like, well, if you really don't want to go, then please don't come.
yeah, because I just don't want him to be miserable while he's there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's all within reason. I think that's another thing that can derail a relationship is if you're constantly doing or forcing your partner to do things that you know they're not going to have fun doing. you know, it's okay to go somewhere with just your friends and go have a good. I would do it if my friends were going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I be okay with her doing it? So I think that is healthy also, having your time away. You know, I think people that constantly do everything together, even when they know, you know, she hates doing X, Y, and Z. She hates playing darts at a bar. If my friends are going to the bar to play darts, she can come, but she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
You know, so,
I hate playing darts.
yeah,
Really
so whatever the case.
Because I can't do it. Like, I can't get the darts and the board.
I have a
But he makes me
dartboard.
try.
I have a dartboard in my basement. It's just sitting there. No one uses.
You can have it.
I don't want any darts in the
It's
house.
just sitting there.
No darts in that.
Keep it in the basement.
Keep it in your man cave. But
That's interesting too, though, that point, because I think that is really important, like doing things individually. We've talked about that in past episodes as well, where, you know, so far we've talked about on this episode a lot of like coming together, getting to know one another and like working together. But like, what are some of the things you guys think that individually you kind of complement each other, or just even in general, what are some things that keep you guys healthy individually yet still in a relationship, if that kind of makes sense?
I knew you were going to look at me.
Or like, doesn't Jordan like play Xbox? Like he does that individually.
Yes,
or like
he
that's
does.
just
That is
something.
his
That's
time.
actually
give me your Activision.
That's
tag.
something you do. I mean, like I'm just saying that's something you do. Oh God, here we go. Mark just recently
built a PC.
decided, that he's gonna play video
Cross-platform.
games.
Very
And
nice,
I'm
very
like,
nice.
what the hell? Like, what are you doing? Like,
This is actually a really good point, what you just
Yes.
brought up. So this is something that we had to compromise on.
yeah.
You know, I've always, my whole life, enjoyed playing video games to a certain extent, right? Well, that's, unless she's going to play on her own with me,
Yeah.
it's going to be a
In
period
that
of time
state.
in the day that she's not going to enjoy my company, right?
Right.
So, you know, I had to make that compromise, and she had to compromise on her end that I'm only going to play maybe after she goes to sleep. Now, I'm lucky. She goes to sleep at like 9 o'clock every night,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
I'm not going to go to sleep at 9 o'clock, regardless of what my plans are. I don't like going to sleep that early. I can't fall asleep. I wake up. It just throws
You
me
go
off.
and watch Netflix for an hour before you go
Yeah.
to sleep.
Well, yeah, when I go to bed, we're watching TV together, but I'll go into bed and turn Netflix on and continue to watch. It's like my time.
Yeah.
And then he goes and has his time downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I had to commit to, okay, I'm not going to play when she gets home from work. I'm going to spend some time. So every day we're spending hours together after work, and you know we're not going to go several days without spending time together. But we also get that time apart, you know, and whether it's an hour or whether it's a few hours, whatever the case. So that's a compromise. You got to find things, if you do have interests that don't align with the other person, you got to just find ways to make it work. We have examples in our own life where, not with each other, but friends of ours who can't make that compromise, who one party forces the other one to change their lifestyle. I can assure you that relationship is no longer going.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That's what
I
happens when
know,
you
feel
force
it, I
someone to
know.
change the things
Feel
they
like
like
that.
to do to that extent. Someone really likes to do something, find a way to make it work.
Yep. And that's what I did. And then on the weekends, I mean, a lot of the times on the weekends, I'm at least gone from like morning to afternoon. That is his video. Like when I'm not in the house, that is your video game time.
Because I have nothing else going. Let's not make it sound like I play
Where
video
do you
games every
go?
time
Where
she
do you
leaves.
go? Like
Uh,
the store or?
I'm either going to the store every Sunday morning. I go to breakfast with my family at a bar.
Aw, that's nice.
At a bar.
That's a good
At the
thing to
bar.
bring up. This is something that I really appreciate about Brandi. She
Oh.
doesn't force me to go to that breakfast.
Oh yeah.
And I've
Where
gone.
do you go?
In Wexford, it's Billy's Roadhouse.
Not a sponsor.
Oh, I saw.
Yet.
I saw that
We're
on
open to
your
it.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
just recently got a tent. It's heated for outside. Oh, it's so nice.
And I've gone a few
Wow.
times, and I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad time, but this is breakfast every Sunday, right?
Wow.
No matter what we did Saturday night, no matter if we went out and partied,
I
no
was
matter
so
how I'm
hungover
feeling.
this morning.
This morning she's hungover. She's
Oh.
going to that breakfast regardless.
Yeah.
The
I
fact
did
that she
eat
doesn't
breakfast.
force me to go, because I don't want to go to breakfast with anybody.
Anyone.
It's nothing against her
Is
family.
it just
I don't
breakfast,
wanna
or do they have like food all the
They do.
time?
Amanda's
Yeah,
very
they-
interested in this.
yeah.
Maybe
I
you should go
am.
next week.
You
You have a good
can
time.
join us.
I can assure you
My
they'll be
brother
doing
brings
shots.
his friends all the time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes it turns into just breakfast, and you have like a Bloody Mary or two, and sometimes
That's
it
just
turns into
breakfast. A Bloody Mary or two is just breakfast. Listen to what she just said. Sometimes it's just breakfast, and you have a Bloody Mary or two. Sometimes we drink.
I know.
The rest of that
I
sentence.
know how her family met.
fucked up.
Sometimes there's
How her
10
family
shots
is.
involved in this breakfast. So it just depends on the day. And now with like the whole COVID thing, and we can't really like, you can't sit at the bar. So that's where we would always sit. And now that like the bar is shut down, we have to sit at a table. The owner loves us. He loves, you know, all of his customers that are regulars and stuff. So he treats us, you know, like family. So, you know, he brings us in with shots. So buys us drinks. But yeah, I mean, that's our fun Sunday.
Sunday fun day. Oh,
Sunday fun day.
that's
So.
nice though.
But yeah, I wake up and I say, I'll see you later. It could be in 2 hours. It could be in 6.
And that's one of those things. If she forced me to go to that every Sunday, I guarantee you by now I would be resenting it. I'd be dreading every
Oh
Sunday.
yeah, especially because it's
important.
every Sunday.
Right.
It's not
The fact
and
that
we go
I
at
can
like
go,
8:39.
I'm
So
welcome,
it's
but
early
I'm
in
not
the morning.
required. You know,
Yeah.
that's good. I think that's healthy.
Definitely.
I definitely think if it was like you need to be every Sunday, I'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'd
and
be
if
fighting
it's-
about it.
Yeah, if it's like a family thing, like maybe my mom's making dinner. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
hey,
can go.
we're going to my mom's. He goes, okay, that's fine. I mean, there have been some times where it's like, I don't really want to. But any family like gathering where it's like at a house, if we're meeting up with other parts of the family, I try to encourage him to go. And that's like the only time where I'll like force him to go if he doesn't want to.
And she's making it sound more aggressive than it is. I don't know that we've ever had a situation where it's like a family
Dragging you
dinner
out of the house.
or a Thanksgiving.
No, like
where,
if my
and going
dad's in
either
town.
direction. I don't think
Yeah.
there's ever been a situation where either one of us has said, no, I'm not going. Like
Like-
we're going if it's a family function.
Yeah.
Well,
This
like if
is
my dad's in
different.
town, it's like,
Right.
hey,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
meeting
going.
up with my dad. He goes, am I going? I'm like, yeah, you're going. That's just a given.
Okay. Yeah, there's no argument there.
Yeah. I think that's healthy though. I mean, I think on certain things, like you guys said, they're kind of like special occasions, stuff like that. It makes a lot of sense. But that's kind of cool. It's like church every Sunday, but at a bar.
Yeah.
Out of
Yeah. That's a good point because I think
They have
both
really
Brandi
good-
and myself grew up being forced to go to church
No,
with our extended family.
You see how I segued into that religion
That was,
topic?
that was a good point.
you're getting good at this.
That was a good point. I think we both grew up dealing with that with, you know, how it is. You know, most
Yeah.
people's grandparents are more religious than their parents and more
Yeah.
religious than themselves in a
Yeah.
certain way. I think we both grew up with that where we're going because we're told to go. But
Mhm.
we've never really, at least I've never really been into it. You know, I did
Yeah.
the CCD, as they call it, until 8th grade, I think.
Yeah.
And I was the type of person, as I still am, to question.
Yep.
They don't like that.
They don't like
The nuns and the teachers and that, they don't
Oh.
like to be questioned. They like you to agree and listen and believe and all that fun stuff.
It's
And
like the total opposite.
that
of you.
was never
For
that was
sure.
never enough for me. So
Yeah.
I went, but I never got into it because, you know, you ask a question and you don't get a legitimate answer.
Mhm.
It's like listening to a debate now with the politics. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You don't get a straight
Don't.
answer. You get a workaround.
Don't start with politics.
Oh.
We will.
No.
Yeah, we can avoid it. But that concept, you get a workaround answer. And then
Mhm.
you're back to the beginning. And you don't get any further. And that never worked for me. So ultimately, I grew out of it. And here we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we drink instead of going to church.
Yeah. We do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had the same family background, Catholic, growing up. My grandparents were very strict Catholics, you know, go to every holiday church service and every Sunday, or like my grandmother liked to go on Saturday nights because getting up Sunday morning is just not a thing.
Mhm.
So,
Can't skip breakfast.
no. That was actually the other thing, just so we could go to Billy's for breakfast.
Did you grow up in Allison Park?
No, I actually grew up outside of Philadelphia,
Okay.
out east. Yeah, they suck.
Yeah, no loyalty.
Yeah, we lived out there for like 13 years. So we moved out here and in with my grandparents in 2010. So we've been out here for quite some time. But while my grandparents were here and we lived out there, it was still a thing where my mom's like, we have to go to church. Or especially when grandparents came in, we're going to church. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as I got older, I still was in that mindset where I'm like, I still have to go. I feel bad. Like, my grandmother's going to look down on me if I don't go. But once I moved out of that house, of course, I stopped going.
Mm-hmm.
And she would always ask me, did you go to church? Did you go to church? And I'm like, yeah. Yep, yes, I did. I prayed for you. But yeah, I mean, with even my grandparents passing away, it's like I still like have like some kind of guilt. I don't know why that I don't go, but I like it that my mom gave me the decision. Like after. She's like, this is what we have to do. You're going to go, you went through CCD until 8th grade because, you know, God forbid your grandmother found out that you didn't. You know, you were baptized. She goes, if you ever want to get married in a Catholic church, you can. You don't have to. That's your choice. She goes, but I did not have any choices growing up. I had to at least go this far with you. So now you can like decide what you want to do. And I was like, okay, cool. So, talking about it together, though, we decided that, I mean, we, like, as of right now, we don't go to church. We don't, you know, follow any religion practices or anything.
Yeah.
So bringing up kids or anything, I mean, they're going to believe whatever they want.
Baptizing my child would be equally as hypocritical as giving them a bris.
A what?
A bris. That's the Jewish practice. I don't know specifically what it is.
I'm like a brisk iced tea.
Baptizing them with brisk.
No, but that's the point. I mean, just because I was raised, you know,
yeah,
Catholic
exactly.
and everyone is baptized, me doing a baptism with the fact that I don't practice is equally as ridiculous as me forcing my child to practice any religion. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. By all means, if as they get older they choose to believe whatever they want, great. But it's not something I'm going to force on. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So we were lucky enough to be on the same page with that. We don't have to argue about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That is a big one. Yeah. Mark and I are the same way. I grew up baptized Catholic. Then I went to like Holy Spirit school until like the 3rd grade. My dad's family was really religious. And my dad, like, you know, got out of the picture. So then I was just with my mom. And it was more of like, well, we're not going to CCD or whatever. We're just going to, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And that was another thing. Like, my parents got divorced when I was like 12. But while they were still together, you know, my dad was not Catholic in any sense. But, you know, my mom would make him go.
Yeah.
Because if we saw that dad wasn't going, why does dad get to stay home? Why do we have to go?
Yeah.
So he was also forced upon that as well. So
yeah.
Sounds familiar. Like we just talked about being forced to do things you don't want to do.
weird.
Learning.
And now they're divorced.
But I was going to ask, I didn't know if you wanted to give a rundown about your religious background.
I went to 12 years of Catholic school. I mean, not only is that expensive as fuck, but like I just anytime we think about this, I think about like, well, did that really help me become like what I would consider a good person? Or if that wasn't the case, how could we make our children, you know, like raise them well and just make sure they have good morals, good values? Because I think at the end of the day, that's really all religion kind of is.
Every single one has the same general concept.
Yeah.
Be a good person in one way or another.
Yeah.
Do these generally good things.
Forgive.
Some are more strict than others,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, every religion is generally for the greater good and keeping people with some sense of morality. So as a parent, you should be able to teach your children that regardless of whether they believe in God, Buddha, Allah, or anybody else.
Yeah.
Those are religious figures.
He's a theologian.
Theologian.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's just the thing is like we talk about all the time, and we're always trying to think of and, get perspectives on how to, I guess, steer our kids that way. And really, it's pretty simple. I mean, just make sure your kid isn't a shithead. But like at the same time, it's like, when you come from something like that and you've had religion in your life, even if it's forced upon you, I feel there's like a juxtaposition there. It's like, well, would my life be different if I wasn't put through that?
Very possible.
Yeah, and I think we're on the same page though. Ultimately,
at first he like wanted his kids to go to like a Catholic school or a private school, I think, because he really isn't sure if it shaped him differently. And in my head, I was like, I'm not sending my kid to a Catholic school learning about religion when I don't even know if I like believe that.
That's like sending your kid to college at a young age.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, in college in general, because we can dive into that.
College will teach all kinds of things that you may or may not agree with. So it's a very interesting perspective.
Didn't you go to like a smaller school?
I did. Down in West Virginia, Davis and Elkins. I think I graduated with like 150 people.
What did you go for?
Psychology. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
I went to IUP. I think that did the most to shape my life. No, but I've talked about this before with friends. I mean, yeah, growing up, I'm sure the religion factor, plays a role, but largely whenever I think back of why I made certain decisions, it wasn't about what will God think. It was what will my dad think? What will my grandmother think?
Yeah.
What will my mother think? It was the people in my life, not the teachings of any religion. But once I had that foundation of, okay, this is the type of person I am through high school, college is what rounded me out, right? I grew up in a small white Western Pennsylvania town with no experience of anything. There's no diversity. There's no different people. Everyone's the same. The town's a couple thousand people, whatever. You go to somewhere, IUP, you're getting people from both sides of the state. You're getting people from outside of the state. You have international students. It's just, it changed my life from that perspective. So when I think about going to college, I don't currently use my degree, right? I started to, I graduated criminology, minor in psychology, and I just got away from it. But at the end of the day, I think I learned more about how to be a person and how to deal with different situations in college, more so than anything I ever learned in the classroom. And is that worth the debt? Is that worth the debt? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest impact college had on me. Forget the diploma. That's nice, but whatever.
I learned a lot about myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, I lost my virginity in college. Like that.
Yep.
That was okay.
Nice.
I mean, I used to be a very quiet in my shell. Like I didn't really talk to people. But getting
Does
into
not
this,
sound like you.
I know, right? See, it really did shape me because, I mean, I go to the school where I know nobody. It's not like when people went to college, oh, you're going to college with your friends. You're going to like a community college or something down the street. I went at the time 5 hours away from my home in the middle of nowhere, like the boobies.
Literally. It's in the wilderness in West Virginia.
He likes it.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Love that place.
And I was on the volleyball team. So, coming into that, you have, seniors, juniors, sophomores, like people that you've never met before, different ages. And you bond to them and I'm going to say they probably really shaped who I am. Like they all have different personalities. I mean, I don't know if it was for the good or the bad, but here we are. This is what it shaped me into.
I believe it's for the best.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. So about myself, who I really wanted to be. And I got to, I was never really like a party girl in high school. I got in trouble like one time, but not with like the police or anything, but with my mom, it's worse.
Go ahead.
What?
You can talk about it.
I don't want to.
Okay.
If my mom listens to it, she'll laugh though. But so when I get to college, like I kind of, let loose. Like nobody knows me here, and they don't know that I'm a quiet person. So why don't I just build myself into, a different person? and I like the way I turned out. I think it's okay. And it's helped me, especially for my position now, even in work. Like, I have to be a more authoritative person and, tell people what to do. And like back then, I would never tell people what to do. Tell you what to do.
She's my boss.
I feel for you.
No.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I liked college, even though I'm just going to pay the ass for it for the rest of my life.
That's
Worth every penny.
interesting. So when we recorded with Eliza and Tanner, she gave a lot of insight on her college experience. It completely changed her, like, as a person, everything as well. And for me, I went to CCAC for like a year and, whatever, didn't finish. But I think I went to Beatty, a technical school, during, like, when I went to high school, Shaler, so half the day, I would go to Beatty for early childhood. And I met 3 of, like, my best friends there. And I think they, like, have really shaped me as a person. Almost like, just different people you meet and stuff like that. And I definitely had, I was, like, bad in high school.
Yeah.
And I was, like, 14, like, ugh. But I'm glad I got it out of the way back then. So I guess I had, similar experiences just when I was younger.
Yeah. I mean, even when I think about, like, when we eventually get married, like, who are the women that I want standing next to me? And it's going to be those ones that have, like, shaped me. I mean, I have, childhood friends. I have, my college friends. And then I have, like, my real life right now friends. And it's just, like, every one of them had a piece of, putting me together. And that's what I think about when I pick my girls.
No, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
How people
Because
shape
I
you like
definitely
that.
have thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I have someone significant from, my childhood, and then, you get into high school, and then college, and then even right now. So, got lots of people shaping me up.
Who shaped you, Mark? I feel like Mark is always.
Who shaped me?
Yeah, no, okay, because Mark is all like, I'm more of a. I've gotten better at it, but I'm more of a, like, I feel like I almost cared about other people more than, like, I did myself. I'm working on it. I think I've gotten better at it, but Mark is very self something. I don't know what the word is.
She's trying to replace ish. I think she's trying to replace
Yeah,
it.
I'm
just kidding.
honestly though, yeah. I mean, as far as, like, I think about this a lot.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
will say he's very
Oh,
big.
sorry.
He's very big on, like, he learns from, like, YouTubers and stuff like that. So yeah, I would, like, it's just, like, a different, not like people in your actual life, but like people that you look up to.
This actually crossed my mind today. I think it's, I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts on it. For me specifically, I think that when you grow up, as you guys have already alluded to in this episode, there's a lot of things that you take from the house that you had, right? So you guys mentioned that you learned it when you went off to college, and you had this idea of the world, we'll say, how things are going to work and everything. And then you go to IUP, you go down to West Virginia.
Yep.
Yeah. And you experience different things. You become a different person. You take, like, the good shit that you learned at your home, but then you take and you're like, oh, that doesn't really make any sense. More, diversity, or like all these different things, this, that, and the other. And you make, that's really where you get formed and where you get shaped, like this conversation we're having. I didn't really have that because I have been in this house my entire life. Like, I went to Pitt and I just commuted there and back. So it was like extended high school, right? So I didn't, like, go and hang out. I didn't, like, do anything like,
Bad influence.
like I didn't have a dorm. Like, I didn't have anything. So, like, I was literally just here. So I think what has happened for me specifically might be, I think other people do it, but I don't think maybe they did it to the extent that I did. I learned a lot from my family and the place that I grew up here, but I also, for some reason, for the last, like, 3 or 4 years, I have just been, like, going, like, whole hog on, like, almost like YouTube influences and just people that are, like, that I consider to be smart and, thoughtful. People like Jordan Peterson, people like Jocko Willink, Joe Rogan, like, podcasters, stuff like that.
Right.
So I listened to all that sort of stuff, whether it was finance or entrepreneurship or anything. And then I brought all that in. It's like, now I feel like I'm a person that is really well-rounded, and then I want to give some of that back. So that is kind of what shaped me, which is probably different than maybe, obviously like the stories that we've had so far, like people in your life. But it's really interesting when you have people that are you don't even know kind of shape you.
Well, it's a similar concept, though.
Yeah.
So these people you mentioned, you're spending, whatever the case is, Joe Rogan, for instance, a 3-hour podcast 4 times a week or whatever he does at this point.
Yeah.
You're having a lot of interact. And essentially, me going to college and spending similar amounts of time with the new people that I'm meeting and building friendships and building new relationships. Yeah, you may not know Joe Rogan, but if you spend enough time listening to his podcast, that's going to have an impact on your life, and you're going to start to think maybe the way he thinks or approach situations. Joe Rogan specifically, I love his podcast because he can have such an open-minded conversation. He might disagree, he might agree, who knows, whatever the situation is, but he can give that person an opportunity to defend themselves.
Definitely.
And he can challenge those people.
Yep.
And that's something that I really admire, is being able to challenge someone. Maybe they change your mind, maybe they don't. That doesn't matter.
Right.
But being able to have that conversation, I think you're learning it a different way, but it's a very similar concept.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of my answer to the shaping question. So a little different experience, but I think they all work. So, yeah. But so that's interesting though. College in general, like, I mean, we're foreshadowing a little bit here, but like to kind of like talk about, there's marriage, which you guys are heading towards next 3 years, and then also like kids and stuff like that.
So
have you? What's up? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So you guys do want kids, obviously. Well, you mentioned kids about religion.
He goes back and forth. I don't know.
I mean, want is a funny word.
Well, let's hear though why.
No, I mean, I definitely want kids, dude. It's a scary thing to think about, In my own, we kind of alluded to this earlier. You still feel like you're young. It doesn't matter what age you are. In my own head, I still feel like I'm a 20-year-old kid and I don't know any better. Yeah. Obviously, like you just referenced, Mark, it may come across like I have it all together, like I'm wise beyond my years, whatever. But internally, it doesn't feel that way, and I don't know if it ever feels that way. So, yeah, you want kids, but in my brain, when I think to myself, I'm like, I got time. Well, but realistically, no. It's time to get going. I'm not young. I'm not 20. So, I go back and forth. But at the end of the day, I know I want kids.
Hence why I decided to have the conversation with him, because I'm like, I'm turning 30 next year.
Sometimes I need a little
on my timeline. Like, back in the day, I thought I would at least have a kid by like 28. So I'd be married maybe like 25. Now, if the first relationship would have worked out, then I probably would be on that track right now. But I'm about to turn 30, and I'm like, I don't want to be like an old parent. I want to be young, cool parent.
Youngish. I mean, we've already passed being the young parent point. There's a lot of parents that are younger than us, but you want to, within reason. So I want kids. I'm the youngest in my family, and my brother has 2 girls, so I have a lot of responsibility on my shoulders to have a boy. So
no pressure.
We'll hope for that when the time comes, but at the end of the day, I think, definitely want kids. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a girl. I work with kids. I would love to have kids.
Yeah.
I've been babysitting like my whole life.
Yeah.
I just snuggled his niece last night, and she's so cute and tiny.
Yeah, what, 3 weeks old?
Actually, she's 4 weeks old.
4 weeks?
Wow.
1 month?
Oh my goodness.
Super tiny.
Let's talk about the fact that people say 4 weeks and not a month.
I know.
25 weeks. What are you doing here,
She
people?
said that last night. I go,
48 months.
Oh, my God.
48.
We could have a whole podcast on my pet peeves.
Pet peeves.
I really have to think about that, because that's how we say, like, at our work, like 24 months. And I'm like, wait, how old is that?
Yeah, I know. So when
That's 2
I
years.
get inquiries offline, a lot of parents put in like 48 months. And I'm like,
You're a
I gotta
fucking
get like
dork.
a calculator out. I'm like, how
Fucking
old
dork.
is that?
I have to think in my head periodically, like, okay, they're this old. That many months is 2 years. Okay.
She's probably sitting at the manager's desk counting on her toes trying to figure this stuff out. I can only
I'm
imagine.
very bad at math, so I definitely
Yeah.
need
My
a
favorite thing
calculator.
about her is her doing math. Every time she does it, it makes me smile.
Oh, I am so bad at math.
Horrible.
No, like I was actually in like a smaller math class. Like actually, like I'm
Like an
bad
applied.
at.
I was. In
I had like I had an IEP growing up. And I was in like a smaller math class. Yeah.
I mean, I never got past algebra. I'm not some wizard. Like when we talk
It's a
about being
wizard.
bad at math, yeah, I never did calculus, but I know what 48 plus 12 is. You know,
See, in
like
my
stuff
mind,
like that.
I can't do that in my
She'll
head.
sit on the couch and be counting. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you counting on your
I'm
We
like-
have the technology.
Yeah.
Well,
in
he
my
just
head,
does
I'm
it
like,
in his
okay,
head.
carry the one.
Yeah, that's what I do. I sit there. It's because
Carry the one.
I sit there and I do it in my head like this.
I'm like, you're doing math, aren't you?
It's a
Well,
math face.
It's not my pooping face. So some kids do that. They're like,
There was this meme on Facebook, and it was like something about like I'll be crying at the kitchen table with my kid trying to figure out math. That was my mom and I like screaming at each other, me in tears, because she's not good at. Neither of my parents were good at math, and neither was I.
It's genetics.
But I remember when I was at like CCAC, and I tried to get Mark to help me with my math homework, and he couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah.
Well, the,
So, but he's gonna have to help our kids with the math because I can't.
well, the
Yep,
stuff they
that's all you
teach like young kids today is ridiculous.
it's
Common
and
Core,
Common
yes.
Core on top of it already being ridiculous. Like for a kid that you're not really going to use that sort of
There's
shit
no
anyway.
That's going to make me
way.
feel better because, you know, we have to relearn it anyway. So the fact that I don't know something new that didn't exist when I
No,
was in
I
school makes me
couldn't-
feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I couldn't even learn it. Like I'm sitting there trying to help them, and I'm like, I don't understand what's
I
happening.
retaught myself algebra when I was a substitute teacher for 2 months, so I'm doing
I
fine.
don't
I'll
understand how
handle
you
it.
were a substitute teacher.
Because all you need is a college degree, and I got one.
What subject? Or any
What did I sub for?
Yeah.
It was a variety. So you just are a sub, and they call you for whatever's needed. So it wasn't a specific subject.
You actually
gotcha.
have
I
to
did a-
teach anything.
I taught algebra. Taught a girl how to do something. I don't remember
Something.
what it was. I don't know. It was years ago, but yeah, I mean,
Well, I know anytime I ever had a sub, it was video day.
the equation.
Yeah, video day, or they have like work that you just pass out.
Well, that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know, I had work.
And then
well,
you had to help them.
Let
yeah.
me set the stage for this algebra class because it's actually kind of a funny story. I did a couple things in this situation that were maybe frowned upon.
Statute of limitations is over though, so.
Yeah, so we're talking about back when I'm like 23. I was just out of college, and I was working a job weekends only. This goes back to attempting to use my degree. I was working at what they consider prep school, but essentially a juvenile detention center in Butler.
Prep school.
Well, they call it a prep school because it's not a lockdown facility, so it's different. You know, they're not locked.
Prepped
They're not
back
in
to society.
Yeah, they're not in cells. It's a school. It's picture a dorm. You know, a hall with a bunch of rooms, whatever. But they're all in there for one reason or another. Assaults. You know, I
Guilt,
think the worst
murder.
was gun charges. We didn't have, you know, those heavier cases would go to lockdown facilities. But I was doing that on the weekends. Right, we were working 2 days, 14-hour days. They'd pay you for 40 hours.
Wow.
So I had the whole week open.
That's a good deal.
I'm trying to make some money, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I could be a substitute teacher at my old high school. All I have to do is go take this class, and they give you a certification. So I did it, and
But
I'm
they don't do that these days.
yeah, they do.
Do they?
All you need is a college degree, any degree.
That's
And then
crazy.
you get,
I know.
And then
No,
you go
it
and get
makes me
certified.
so mad because like I can't make it through college. You know, some people like literally just like can't make it through college,
Yeah.
I mean,
they
you might be able
struggle.
to.
and you just need some sort of college
Now.
degree to go, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, in some
it
cases,
doesn't
that's
matter
all
what
it
it
takes.
is.
Right. Right.
Jordan
no,
was
that's
telling a
frustrating
story.
for sure. So I'm substituting, and the one day they call me up. It's an algebra class. I want to say 8th or 9th grade, that age range, let's say. And there's an assignment, so it's not a movie day, right? I have an assignment. You have this work to do, whatever it was. Do these 2 chapters reviews. And, you know, they're all doing it. Well, there's this one group of girls that won't shut up. Right? And as a substitute teacher, you just want to get through it. You don't want there to be any issues. You don't want anything crazy to happen. And they're just being loud and disrupting other people who are doing the assignment. And every time I address it, the one girl is saying, I don't know how to do this. Well, I took it upon myself to figure out how to do it and teach it to her. So she didn't have that excuse. Because you've learned this already. Now you're doing a review. You're not going to tell me you don't know how to do it. So I cracked open the book and went to the back of the book where every book shows you the answers.
Yeah.
And I taught myself how to do the
Reverse
equation.
engineered it.
I reverse engineered it, taught myself how to do that specific equation, order of operations, all that fun algebra stuff, the only math class I got through. I relearned it, and I showed it to her. And she still put up a little bit of a fight, and she was still talking, rather than doing the work. So my next course of action, and this is the part that I don't think the school would like if they knew about, I put her in the corner. I put her in the
like
corner.
An 8th grader in the corner.
Yeah, 8th, 9th grade, something. But I didn't just put her in the corner. I grabbed her desk and slid it into the corner.
Oh my god.
And she thought it was funny. Like, this wasn't some case of the substitute abusing somebody. She thought it was funny, and I did it sort of as sit over here, stop talking, and get the work done, right? At least try. Don't tell me you can't do it when you didn't try.
Yeah.
And guess what happened?
She did it.
She did it. And the answers were right. And we had a good day. So sometimes my methods of getting my point across are not the best, but at the end of the day, we get it accomplished. And I don't remember why I started telling this story, so I can't wrap it all back up.
I honestly don't remember.
We were talking about math.
Oh, yeah.
And that I use math in my head.
I
like
still
this.
remember my mom was always like, I'm always like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And my mom was like, how do you remember that? But you like aren't good at math.
Do you remember what it means?
Yeah, the parentheses, exponents, multiplication, addition, subtraction.
You missed
Close,
division, but
you
yeah.
missed the D. Yeah.
You
You
It was
missed
really
the D.
Division.
Yes, division's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's little things like that I remember. I still remember the Pythagorean theorem. Can I put it into practice? Maybe.
Oh,
Who knows?
Maybe.
None of that, no.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I can,
Traumatizing.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Oh. Ugh.
Math is very traumatizing for me.
Yeah, me too.
And that's why I feel like I have no hope for my
Oh,
children.
we were talking about it teaching math to our kids. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that, going back to how college shaped our lives. So I got through high school and college with a degree with pretty much a C average without ever learning how to study or actually do the work. I know this sounds crazy, but I would try. But in like the way most people study, man, they'll study for months, all night, and then they'll do well on a test. I pretty much got through all of it, barely understanding what I was doing. And not to toot my own horn, but that comes from just a natural ability to process information and understand it to a level.
Yep.
I believe if I really did master the studying and the applying myself to the correct things at a younger age, I probably would have graduated with a 4.0, and who knows what my life would look like at this point if that were the case, but it wasn't, and here we are. But at the end of the day, I think the ability to do that really shaped the way I'm able to learn things in life and develop as a person, whether it's your job or relationships or whatever the case. I think the ability to learn and adapt is more important than any one subject you're ever going to learn. I can't tell you anything about chemistry, but I think overall, those pillars of learning are what's most important.
Way to bring it back to the relationship part. That was good. I'm impressed.
Learning a lot.
Yeah, like my friend like graduated college with like an honors. I'm like, how do you do that?
Oh, I remember the day I came across his transcripts, and I was like,
It's not great.
God.
It's not great. It's not great.
I thought mine was bad. Yours is
I
a
passed
little
my
worse.
final test. I graduated by 3 percentage points overall, or I would have been there an extra semester. Yeah, I just made it.
But you made it.
But I made it.
Yeah.
It's like
Once you're
withdrawn,
done,
withdrawn.
I mean, I'm sure it's different for people that go to Harvard and are lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the average person who's getting a regular job, once you're done, it's a diploma. And no one
Yeah.
asks for your GPA. Nobody gives a shit.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, like I said, I'm sure it's different. But unless you're one of those, just get through it. Just get it done and get into the workforce. And then put your real effort in, I guess.
So here's the thing. I know, like, going to college was like something. My mom's like, you're going to college. When we have kids, would you say you're going to college or?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was going to ask that. Thank you, Brandi.
Taking over.
Oh, no. Absolutely not. So here's what it comes back to. If you're not going to go to college, what are you going to do?
Yes.
You're not
you
going
have
to do
something.
nothing.
Yeah.
The answer is not going to be stay at home. The answer is going to be, okay, you have a plan one way or another. I don't care ultimately if you go to college or not, because there's plenty of people that I know personally that did not go to college, that started working as soon as they were done with high school and have built beautiful lives for themselves. And that's perfectly fine. but you're not going to tell me you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan,
Yeah.
let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Right?
Yeah,
You're gonna do
this
something.
is your eviction date out of the house, so figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, so if they don't go to college and they just like work in a grocery store, like, is
No.
that enough to
No, that's not
exactly? Okay, so
No,
there's
you have
that.
to put yourself in a position to have a career, not a job.
Okay.
Your answer for the rest of your life is not, I'm going to bag groceries. Okay? It needs, we need to be having some type of conversation. Are you going to further your education so you can ultimately manage one of these operations or own something? Are you going to learn a trade? Are you going to have a skill? What is it? Are you going to go to the military? I'm not opposed to that. You can do plenty of different things that aren't college.
Yeah.
But to ruin your life by doing nothing is not acceptable.
Good to know. Okay. Now we have the conversation.
So like I said, I went to CCAC for like a year or so, and I was going for social work, and then I didn't drive at the time. So literally my grandparents drove me to and from CCAC for like a whole year. Yeah. And then I was going to go to the CCAC like downtown, and it was like going to work and everything. And then all of a sudden my mom, like literally I like went to school already. Like I had my first couple days, I was going for social work, and my mom like didn't want me to take the bus down there because, danger. So then this was right around the time I met Mark, and I didn't have a vehicle to go to school. My grandma just got diagnosed with cancer. It was like a crazy time. So then I decided to take the semester off. So then I was going to, just take one semester off. And then I was working at Dunkin' Donuts full time, whatever, but I was going to go back to school after that semester. And then I don't even know how this happened, but I was interested in like trade schools or like, different programs or whatever. Someone told me about a program at Rite Aid where you can be like a pharmacy technician, which it sounds way better than it is. Because I actually had to downgrade from my Dunkin' Donuts money.
That's what they do when they want you to accept a job. They call it a technician.
Yeah, I was only
plenty
making.
of technicians. That's
And
just
I know Giant Eagle hires at like $12 an hour for like a pharmacy tech, but I was like, whatever, it's like a program or whatever. So I liked it and everything, and I was making like $8.50 or something. I don't know. And I liked it. And I was going like to learn, and then like eventually you take a test and then you get a raise. But that's when I decided not to go to school to do that. And it was really like hard for me. Like I was, like worried what people would think or like whatever.
That's what I don't want driving the decision my children make. I want them to make the decision because it's what they want and what they believe is best for them, not because they think I have to go to college or I have to do or whatever the case.
Yeah, for sure.
Find out something that you're interested in and make it your life. Whatever it is. There's people making money doing all kinds of goofy shit. There's people making podcasts.
Yeah.
Find something you love and find out how to make money doing it. That way you're happy. So that could go in any number of directions.
Yeah, and I never wanted to do anything with childcare like after I went to Beatty for early childhood, which was really weird. Like 3 years I didn't do anything. And then I was like, oh, well, like maybe I could work at Rite Aid and then get like a part-time job at like a childcare center just because I want to like try it out. Like I've always been obsessed with like babies and like kids, like obviously, And then I'm like, no, why don't I just leave Rite Aid and go? So then I got a job before Kiddie Academy working at like a small little like literal like daycare. Not the best place, but it like I almost feel like it prepared me for Kiddie Academy. Just because it was like less, like less if you're listening, you can't. Less structured and education and all that. It was more of like, so I definitely think
it was like a daycare at a gym somewhere. Watching Karen's
but anyways, now I will eventually get my CDA once COVID, dies down.
Yeah, and that's another way to
Yeah,
do it.
you
I
have
mean,
to
Because
finish.
guests aren't allowed in the building. And
Yeah.
someone has to come observe me.
to the point Brandi
Yeah.
made about, working in a grocery store, if for anybody watching, if that's what you're doing now, that's okay. What you're doing, you start in something, maybe it's entry level, find a way to move on and progress with that profession.
That's what I did.
Find a way to increase what you're doing. If you're starting entry level, if you're the bagger, find a way to get yourself to the point to where you're the daytime manager, and then whatever the progression is.
Have goals.
In that, yes.
Yeah.
Don't stop. I think people get complacent in their lives, and I'm as guilty as everybody else in that. And they sit in whatever's comfortable, and they stay there for 20 years, and they never get any kind of satisfaction out of it because they never progress.
I also don't know how people get like a new job every year. Like I'd rather like be at one place for a long time. Like what?
I did that for like 2 years. It was terrible.
Well, like you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, trust me. There's plenty
Yeah,
of reasons
yeah.
why that can happen.
Well, I know
and it's
it is not
I
I won't say any names, but I know some people that literally are always have a new job. Like every time we see them, and I'm like,
It's a tough life to live. It's not good to start over.
well, I
over
feel
and
like
over again.
once, I guess I worked at Dunkin' Donuts for like 4 years, so I liked being somewhere for that long. I just feel like once you're there somewhere, I don't like going somewhere and learning new things. Like
That's why, like, when I graduated college, I graduated in May, and then by June, I was working at Kitty Academy, and I've just been there ever since.
Yeah.
So, and it's
How long has it been now?
7 years. Been there for 7 years. So, but I mean, worked just my way up. And
Yeah, exactly.
now it's like, it's more of like a family aspect of it. Like, I've been with these people for so long,
Exactly.
they would do anything for me. And then even getting that connection with the kids, like I was working in the baby room when I first started, and now they're like in first grade and they're still there. And it's like, it's just really cool to be a part of other people's lives in that way. So I enjoy it.
You made a comment just right now that made me think about something. You said you don't like learning new things. And that's something that after my schooling finished, I actually hit I don't even know if you want to call it my prime of learning. I can't get enough. I don't care what it is.
Learning.
I don't care if it's related to my profession or not. I'll listen to a new book on tape, about
Yeah. Well,
Mars,
I think just with
whatever.
like jobs,
I can't get enough
like,
of learning new things, and I
just
wish
like getting a new job.
I had that drive when I was actually
Yeah.
trying to get a
That's
degree, because it could have
crazy.
changed everything. It's amazing how much I've done a 180. I can't get enough of trying. Every day I'm trying to learn something new about, God, any number of things. It's really cool.
It blows my mind when he talks about his work and that he like knows more than other people that have been there a long time. And he picks up on things so quickly. And I mean, if he doesn't know something, like, he's going to ask a question and get to the bottom of it. And then it, spans from there, and you just learn more things than you wanted to learn in one question. But yeah, that blows my mind.
Well, I feel like when you're in school, it's just different.
Well, it's like any.
And it's like you're learning stuff, but it's you like think in your head like, I'm not gonna use this and whatever,
Similar to what we were talking about earlier, when you're forced to do something, you're less likely to apply and enjoy it. Just like we were talking about forcing someone to go somewhere. They're not going to, but if they went on their own, they might have a good time. When you're forced to learn for 15, 20 years of your life, it's like, I just don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Now that no one's telling me to learn, I can't stop.
I just think, like,
Don't
for
tell them to do
example, at,
anything.
like, my job now, like, learning stuff is, like, awesome because, like, I'm learning more information. But, like, I think if I get, like, a new job, I'm just, like, a slower learner, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
Takes me a while to, like, learn.
And
I mean, I'm
everyone's
still
different.
here to learn, obviously, but...
I wish you would just learn to put the dishes in the
Oh,
dishwasher.
There we go.
There we go.
I literally load it,
Oh, we're going to go
wash it,
further.
wash it, and empty it. And he just puts the things in the sink.
That's not true.
Just put it in the dishwasher. Like, can you learn that?
Yeah, probably.
Got it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
Done. See?
Cool.
That's how we do it.
That's it. That's how you do it.
There's your
But
relationship.
that's not
You learn it?
that's
Yeah.
not the first
It's not
time.
the first
that I've
time we
said
talked. Hey, not everyone.
I
learns
think
things the
I've
first
heard
time.
her say it before.
Okay.
I definitely have.
In
It works
general,
all the
I
time.
would say my
I don't-
percentage of dish to dishwasher is somewhere around 75 to 80%. We're not going to make this like every dish goes in the sink.
It does.
I don't have a better retort than that. One of those arguments where someone's just like, "Nope, you're wrong." Okay, I guess we're done
Let's
here.
just talk about pet peeves.
Yeah, pet peeves are fun.
Are you still thinking?
Yeah,
Because
you
I'm
know,
just
now
so
that I'm on the
perfect,
spot,
actually.
I'm drawing a blank. You're just so perfect, I can't get enough. No, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is you and your shoes all over the house when you know the dog eats them and then you complain that your shoes get eaten. Like, just put them in the bedroom, close the door. So, I mean, simple stuff.
It is very simple.
It's usually
but
something
it's
really
just like-
simple that's not going to cause a bigger fight, in my opinion.
No.
You know, even if it's
Yeah.
something that bothers her, say it. Because if I'm not thinking about it, I'm never going to tell myself to put the dish in the dishwasher because it's whatever I'm doing is normal to me.
Right.
So if you have a pet peeve like that or like the shoe thing, which I've not hidden, you have to talk about it. You have to say it. Hey, you're doing this specific thing every day, and I feel like it's really driving me crazy. Why are you doing it? Can you do something different?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember before I moved in, like his sink would just be full of dishes, and I would.
I used to
Clean
be
that.
much worse than I am now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Used to be much worse.
Well, now we utilize the dishwasher because it cleans dishes for you.
This is it. Hold on. I just want to read this. This is called a circle back. Did you see what she just did with her mannerisms? That was the talking to a child thing. She just started to do it and almost flipped her chair over. She was just starting to do it. And I just wanted to point it out in real life because she didn't even feel it until I said it. It was happening. If we let it go, it was going to get crazy.
You let it go. Share goes.
Probably
There's a pet peeve in real life for you.
probably gonna happen again.
That would have been a great clip, though.
We're using the dishwasher now, aren't we? Fuck you, Mom. My fucking dishwasher.
You didn't utilize it. It's the simplest thing ever. Just because your mom used to come over and clean your house.
Which I love.
Yeah. I can always tell when she's there. If I'm like
So
at work
clean.
and she comes over,
Cleanest place.
I go,
Hmm.
Jordan did do these dishes. I go, nope, that's off the floor. Yep. All right. Leona was here.
Definitely.
Socks on the floor.
Yeah, so let me say this. What she's referring to from my perspective, so I go, like we talked about, I go to bed after she does. It's
It's in the
generally the
bedroom,
lights are
closed
off. On my side of the bed, when I get into bed, I undress, I take my socks off and leave them there. Granted, in the morning, I could put them in the hamper. I recognize that's something that I don't
Because guess
do.
what? They're not going to get washed.
There's generally a pile of socks on my side of the bed. Okay, I get it. Let's talk about Brandi's socks. What? Stop. Let's talk about Brandi's socks. All over.
All over the house.
In the cushions of the couch, on the windowsill, in the dog's crate. They're everywhere. So it's not as consistent as what I do because I do it every night. So it quickly generates a pile. But when she doesn't put her socks away, they could be anywhere. They might be in the microwave for all I know. It's hard to predict. So we both have a sock issue. If we're going down that road.
Oh my goodness.
This is
See,
crazy.
I don't know about
This
you.
is great.
I cannot leave my socks just anywhere. Like they stink.
Yeah. It's like my shoes.
Especially
Is that
after
a woman thing? 'Cause she has the most disgusting
I
feet I've
cannot
ever
leave,
smelled in my life.
especially after. Right
How
now,
does
they're
that
probably
happen?
not that bad, but like the shoes I wear to work, I have to put what's that
Like
called?
an odor.
You have to
Laundry,
burn them? Do you have to burn
I
them?
laundry
put-
sheets.
I put laundry
Oh,
sheets in
dryer
my
sheets.
shoes,
Dryer
dryer
sheets.
sheets. It's the only thing that works. Any spray, anything, only
Let's-
thing that works.
Let's talk about the bottom of the stairs at Brandi's old apartment where all of her shoes were. Okay? Picture a tight staircase, right? And at the bottom, there's coat rack and there's a giant pile of shoes. I would walk into this place and go, ugh. It was so disgusting.
My feet just stink. I don't know why. But yeah, when all the shoes are in the one general.
Dr. Scholes, please.
It's
Something.
mostly my socks though. Like if I take my socks off, my feet are like they still stink, but it's like the socks, like the sweat that goes into
Is
the
it the
socks.
socks or is
Shoes.
it the shoes?
Hers are the shoes, for
Mine
sure.
are the
Well,
shoes.
you need to put dryer sheets in my.
That would make my dog eat my my shoes even more.
Mhm.
Something to rip up.
Here are
I
the excuses as to why we can't do better.
I literally have like a giant
Excuses.
shelf that I keep all my shoes in.
We're gonna blame
So.
the dog now.
You have to like put them inside
Damn
of
dog.
something.
She's like my excuse.
But I've tried so many things. It's the only thing that works.
Yeah.
Literally.
I haven't really tried to be
Overnight,
proactive.
I have to put them
I
in.
just buy new shoes sometimes.
There's just too many goddamn shoes. How many shoes can you have? My God.
I don't have an answer to that question. I got like 3 pairs.
That's what I'm talking about. I have a different pair for functional purposes.
Yep.
I have a pair of boots. I have a pair of hunting boots. I have a pair of tennis shoes. I have a pair of grass cutting tennis shoes. I have a pair of dress shoes. That's it.
That's it.
She has a goddamn room full of everything.
She's gonna
I'd
have
say-
one already. Yeah.
Yeah,
Working on it.
It blows my mind.
But
An
I-
extra bedroom with all of my stuff.
I really don't though. I just have a bunch of tennis shoes, but like I don't really have like a lot of heels or a lot of like nice shoes.
I definitely have more heels.
I
than
literally just wear combat
normal
boots
day shoes.
and like like I have like one pair of combat boots, and, like sweaters.
Combat boots. That's pretty cool. What do you do on the weekends? That sounds cool.
But yeah, I don't really have a lot of heels or anything.
Wait, we're going back to shoes. What's the combat boots all about?
They're just for me.
Look at them.
Those are cool. Do you get a combat?
Yeah.
She goes to war.
I thought there was more to that.
No, I
I'm
don't.
trying to think.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, no, you do it. I have to though. If we empty the dog's food bin, if I put it back on the shelf, he won't fill it. I have to put it by the door to go downstairs to refill it.
Because who the hell looks on the shelf for an empty container of non-dog food? I wouldn't even know it's
No.
empty.
Because if you empty it,
Well, if I empty it, yeah.
you empty it and you put it back on the shelf. So when I go to feed her in the morning, guess what?
Yeah, then it would be empty.
She
That would be a
eat
situation where
breakfast.
I deserve to be talked to.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So when I empty it, I put it by the stairs
Yeah.
so that you refill it.
And that actually works well because I fill it up. I don't think we have an issue here.
No.
I think that's something that we do very well.
But you, when you empty it, you put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, that's my
and
shortcoming. Yeah, I
Then
agree.
I'm like, oh, guess the dog's not eating before I go to work.
Dog starves.
Yep, poor dog.
She likes to eat lunch.
Can't think of any more. I know I have a ton.
What about you
besides the
two? What
dishwasher.
kind of pet peeves do we have?
It's different for us.
Might-
Well,
I would
yeah,
say 'cause we're not-
because they don't live together.
Oh, yeah.
so-
But
That's
there's
true.
still some.
I'm sure
There's
there's-
some
Sure, there's plenty.
that I can see already.
It started.
Yeah, you go
So-
first. Go first.
Like I said before, for the listeners listening, we had to pause for a minute, and I kind of mentioned something. I was saying about how I'm very clumsy. You know, I spill water, bump into things. Like I remember this was a long time ago, but I think one time like my chair, the chair is like in his kitchen / dining room. Whenever I like went like this and it hit the wood. And he like yelled at me. I honestly think like I remember being like younger and like being yelled at by like just like my friends' parents who were like just mean. And like, so I don't know, when he like, I do something clumsy and he like yells at me, I just like, I don't know. Makes me feel like really small. Like I didn't mean to spill the water.
It's probably like the toddler thing. that they-
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he has a ton of electronics in his room, and I spilled my glass of water. So now it didn't
She gets a sippy cup.
it actually landed on my phone, but now I actually I either have like a bottle of water or like if I stay the night, I ask him to get me a sippy cup.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. So with electronics, it's something that you probably invest a lot of money in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine if that were me in that situation, I can imagine feeling disrespected. Like you're not taking my equipment, the things that I invest in, you're not taking this seriously enough. I can understand that perspective.
Yeah, I definitely felt bad, and I definitely understood why he was upset.
Yeah, I can see like getting angry over that because
Yeah.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and honestly, there were other instances, but
I mean, it's more frustration,
Not
just like
really.
right then. Like I'm not like
Yeah.
gonna hate her
Yeah.
for the rest of the day or anything like that. It's just like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, come on,
oh, and
let's not spill the water.
when I like the microphone, I like knocked over the microphone. And it landed
I
on-
literally didn't even say anything that time.
Yeah.
He did hold back.
Yeah. But anyways, for me.
So I mean, that is actually probably one of them, just like sort of the clumsiness. But I mean, I realize you can't necessarily control that in a sense. But yeah, sort of just like almost like more responsibility is a weird word, but like, yeah, like just that type of thing. Like, the sort of the respect for certain things, just taking a little more time to make sure that you don't do those types of things. I
Or
guess
taking more care of my stuff, like my phone. I just drop everywhere.
That is actually pretty concerning. Like as far as pet peeves go, like yesterday.
Oh,
Well, let's just talk about it like this. Like
Yesterday.
the way that I handle my things is so much different than Amanda handles her
He
things.
doesn't even have a
I'll give you an
phone case or
example.
protector
My
on
phone's
his
sitting
phone.
my phone's sitting over there. I've had that phone for over a year and I haven't had, knock on wood and everything. But like I don't have a case on it. I don't have a screen protector on it. And I made that decision because like I bought this phone. It's beautiful. I want to show it off, like whatever. But like not like that. Like I don't want to have this other shit.
You like it the way it is.
Yeah, and you have to spend more money on the case and stuff like that. I'm just like, fuck that. I'm gonna do this. And I literally use it every single day. I use it for like work and all these other things. And it's got a couple scratches, but like nothing major. Like I didn't break any screen, nothing like that. Again, knock on wood. But like that is what I'm talking about. Is like I do it in the back of my head. Like I don't have to like baby it. It's just like I just take care of my shit.
Right. Yeah.
And Amanda though, again, it's not really a knock on her, but it is like a pet peeve type thing. It's like I don't know where in like the either an upbringing type thing or just like the type of way you handle your stuff. It's like your phone has a case on it, has a screen protector, and your screen protector is cracked we just replaced it and it's already cracked again. Like how does that happen?
No,
it's more just me just like wondering
the
how these things happen.
screen protector is stupid. It cracks. Like I've had screen protectors in the past that the screen protector doesn't crack, but this screen protector cracks, but then the underneath is okay.
Right.
Well, that's good.
So when
Yeah,
it-
but
Yeah, that's
what
the
are you
point.
doing to your
So when
phone
the-
to make it
Drop this
crack
thing
though?
constantly, and yeah, I mean this is not cracked.
Yeah.
Like it's,
So when my screen protector cracks, I get paranoid and think that the bottom is cracked, but it's not. It's this like brand of screen protector.
Let me bring it full circle. Let me bring
I'm
it full
just saying.
circle though. I don't really care necessarily. Like it's not a big deal. But what I'm saying is when we're together, right? We're in Jordan and Brandon's position. We have a house and we have things that we've invested money in together. What I hope to be the case is that you treat the things that we have brought together and purchased together with as much respect as I do, because we can't be. We want to get you a new iPhone, right? Like I hope you treat that with a lot of respect because like you can't leave it in random places and let like. Yesterday, like on the table or wherever, and like a dog like literally jump on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that happened yesterday. You don't even know about it. Like I saw it and you didn't.
The dog.
So like, and that's not
The dog jumped
not shitting on Gilly. Okay, like the dog. I'm just saying
what
like
was I doing? Was I having?
I don't know. It was on the table or something like that. All I'm
Why
saying
is it my fault that the dog jumped on my
there
phone?
are certain things that I think that I inherently respect and have a little bit more value for, especially goods that cost money.
That's something that I can say that I really appreciate about Brandi. So she moved in. I had purchased my own home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of stuff in that home that when she first got there, it was all my shit, basically, right? I think something I really appreciate is we didn't have that issue.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't treat my stuff like it was trash. You know, she helped me do a lot of stuff that when she first talked about moving in, she said she wasn't going to help with. And she was still there to help me with these things, and I really appreciate that. And I think it's something that we've done well together is even if it's something I bought and she wasn't invested in, she still treated it with care. And, you know, that goes back to a level of respect you have for each other. And
I mean,
I'm
not
sure
a
when you
savage.
guys...
Like
right, she's
just
not a
run
savage.
around like
Right. But yeah, to your point about moving in together, ultimately when you do that, that's something that I think both people have to take seriously is this is now our stuff.
Yeah.
And it needs to be treated as, you know, I'm not just breaking my cell phone, I'm breaking our glass tabletop or whatever the case may be, you know. It's,
Maybe it's also like I kind of like know that I have a case and a screen protector on my phone too, but I also don't want to take the risk of not having one.
Let me give Amanda a lot of credit. Let me give you a lot of credit.
I have a story.
well, let him give you credit first.
Yeah.
What's the
Go
story?
ahead.
What's the story about?
When my phone fell off your car.
I don't know which one we should tell first. Do you want the credit first, or do you want to?
Go ahead
Do you
with
want
the
to
credit.
screw it up first? No, just kidding. Let me give you a lot of credit because, like, I know. I think there might be somewhat of a correlation because I bought you as you know, obviously, but our viewers and Brandi and Jordan probably don't. I bought you a MacBook Air for one of our first Christmases
Yeah, we
together,
were, like,
and you have
dating for-
treated that very, very,
we were
very
dating
well.
for like a year, and I literally cried because.
So like I'm very appreciative of that, and I think that again as we move forward, then I don't think it's going to be an issue, but it is something that currently I see. Well, I just see in the things that you either get gifted to you or bought for you or stuff like that. So it's just something. But yeah, go ahead with the car story. The car story's funny.
I remember I blamed this on me being like emotional wreck because it was back when my grandma was like sick and stuff. I don't know, whatever. That really doesn't have anything to do with the story. But Mark drops me off, and I get in the house. I don't have my phone. So I call him. I'm like, is my phone in your car? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. And I don't know how you knew that it was on the side of the road. Like,
No, I didn't. I think I left your house. Didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
I was coming home on 28, and you told me around like where I was at North Shore. I got off and I was like down by the Science Center. Pulled over on the side of the road. I'm like, I don't see it anywhere in here. And then you ran out of your house.
I don't know how I knew that it was on the roof of his car, but somehow I knew. And I think you said when you turned, you like heard something.
Wait,
I might have heard
it remained on the roof of your car while you were driving?
Not the
No,
whole time.
so
No.
it
Only for
was-
about like 500 feet.
Luckily, at the end of like he made like one turn and then he went to turn again and it flew off his car. So luckily,
It was right down the road.
it flew off his car and it was landed.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I thought I
and
heard
it
something.
was perfectly fine with the case and the.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think there's also something in my head that
It's indestructible. We can-
I can
How
like.
does that happen?
Tech 21 case. Whatever.
Yeah,
Sponsor
I
us.
think Tech 21. Yeah, I think there's also something in my head that I know if I drop it, it's gonna be like okay, like or something. I don't know.
Well, I think it goes back to how common it is that literally everybody has a cell phone. I think a lot of people, not just you, myself included, at times we take it for granted.
Yeah.
And it's not viewed as this $1,000 piece of equipment that we've invested in. It's viewed as something that everyone always has. And it doesn't matter what happens. I'm always going to have a cell phone. You know, I'll find a way. I'll finance it for 2 years, whatever the case may be. You don't, if I bought a laptop for the same price, $1,100, right? Whatever the MacBook is, somewhere around there, I would be like, oh my God, I can't break this.
Yeah.
But if I lease my iPhone 10 for $1,100 and I pay $20 a month for 2 years, it never even crosses my mind that this is equally valuable piece of equipment, even though it is.
Yeah.
So I think I definitely am guilty of taking that for granted at times. It's easy to do.
Definitely. Yep.
Ooh, new pet peeve that I just remembered. How about how many times that we've gone on significant trips and you forgot your wallet?
Oh my God.
It's absurd.
Trips like away.
Like, I
Go ahead.
think the farthest was like 45.
We drove all the way down to the Meadows and had to come back for her
We were
wallet.
going to the casino
my.
after a wedding.
So that's about an hour or so drive each way. That was my cousin's wedding we were going to. We pull into the hotel of the parking lot of the hotel, and Brandi realizes she forgot her wallet.
Somewhere you actually like need your wallet.
Yeah, it was significant because we had plans after the reception to then go to the casino and have the night, whatever.
It was a lot of money.
I know there were other ones that I was trying to remember. I can't remember what they were. but they
I
were
know that
definitely
you
other ones.
hate the way I tell stories.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So this is more like a playful thing, and
It is.
I like to give her a hard time about it.
I
but-
do think a lot before I tell a story because I know if I don't, then
I'm
he'll
gonna call her out on it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Bet you this was a high pressure scenario here.
It's
Then
high pressure. So something that you probably noticed about me, and this is just something that, like I said, I've developed over a long time, is being able to storytell with certain details, and it comes from getting in front of your class in college and giving these speeches, and then I've been for several years I've been in customer service on the phone where you're not face to face with someone. Everything you do has to come through your voice, right? Yep. So when I tell a story, you can hear the inflections. You get the right amount of details, but I'm able to move it along.
Yeah.
So you're not like, oh my God, what are we talking? Well, this is not just Brandi. This is Brandi. This is her brother. I'd imagine it's her entire family that does this. But definitely Brandi and her brother do it a lot. And my mother does it too, and I call her out on it. So it's not just them. But they'll tell a story with too much detail. And then I turned left, and then I said to Jim, hello, and then I went this way, and then this thing happened. And it's just every little tiny insignificant piece of information. And you're like, I get it. You went to the store. Can we move to the next part of the story that matters? Like, you don't have to tell me what aisle you're in. Let's just move.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that, for me, I get what you're trying to say. I'm ahead of you in your own story. I needed to move. And that's just, I'm sure it's a pet peeve going both ways. I'm sure me objecting to the storytelling is equally as annoying as me trying to listen to the story and try to slow myself down.
Yeah.
But that's just a funny thing that I like to call her out on. And I call Brendan out on it, and my mom does it, and so many people do it.
Yeah, I mean, another pet peeve I have is you interrupting me all the time. I'm literally just like telling a story, and he's like, "Oh, look at this!" I'm like, "No, it's my turn. Yours can wait." Yeah, just random.
Yeah, and I do it to everybody.
Like,
it's not just Brandon.
It's not.
I catch myself doing it at work. It's something that I consciously have to work on, especially in my line of work where I'm on the phone with people and I need to listen. It's my biggest struggle is stopping myself from answering the question before it's asked, essentially. I have to consciously work on that. So it's something I do to her all the time. And she's now to the point where she'll just scream at me and call me out on it. It's funny. Stop. That's whenever she's allowed to talk to me like I'm a dog or a kid. She's like, stop, quit it, shut up, I'm telling a story.
Yeah, I feel like I'll forget what I'm saying if you distract me.
Yeah, I think that's the end of my list. It's not too bad. But going back to having respect for other things, like a lot of the furniture in his house, like he just got from family.
Yeah.
But I actually generally like felt bad the other day because I had like rotten tomatoes on the kitchen table.
Actual rotten tomato.
Like they had been in a bag. They had been in a bag and I forgot about them. So like all of the condensation, everything, like they were really bad. But it seeped through the bag and it actually like stained the table. And I feel so bad about it. But he's like, nah. I didn't pay for it.
I'll just sand it off. But like that's
Like,
something that
I
easily
felt bad.
could have upset me, and I appreciate the fact that she took it seriously.
Like
but
I
yeah,
tried
I mean,
to like scrub it off,
this
and I
isn't
almost
something
didn't
that'll
tell
be a
him
big
about it. But
yeah, how long would it take me to notice if you didn't say it?
you would never.
I still wouldn't know.
notice.
I would have no idea.
You would still think that the fruit flies are your fault.
I did think they were my fault. She came clean on that. So
I did.
yeah, we go back to, in my opinion, pillars of a relationship, and the honesty and respect. Those two things that we just talked about, I think, are so important. That's a perfect example. It's something that feels insignificant, but she easily could have let me think that was my fault.
Because he did.
And I would have been like, oh,
made,
shit.
like vinegar, like water to put like around the house for the fruit flies because he's like.
I left a bag of trash in the garage,
Yeah.
like not in the trash can, and I didn't realize it. And then the other day I picked it up. I go, Brandi, is this something of yours? And there were flies all over it. It was like trash. And I was like, oh my God. And I threw it out. So I thought the flies that are in the house were from me. I thought that was my fault.
Yeah.
And then I found out 2 days later she had a bag of rotten tomatoes in the kitchen that I had no idea about. So yeah, she easily could have let that go and let me think that was my fault, and it would have been nothing. But I really appreciate that. It seems like nothing, but that's just having respect and owning up to it. And hey, I did this. Don't feel bad about what you did, even though we both fucked up with flies at the same time. It's kind of weird.
We did.
Great timing.
Yeah. But one more thing I have. One more. I promise
Addition
this
to
is
the list.
last one, is the way, like, I appreciate, like, if I text him and I say, can you start dinner? He starts dinner. I send him the recipe. I send him the recipe. He hates Pinterest because the amounts for the recipe of the ingredients and everything, you have to scroll to the bottom. I've told him this before. He forgot. So when he's making things, I went to the store beforehand because we needed a few more things like the seasoning and stuff. And I come home and I'm like, wait, you did all of this already. I just bought, onion powder. Or no, it was garlic powder.
Garlic powder.
It was garlic powder. I go, I just bought this at the store. What did you put in?
I improvise.
I improvise.
He put garlic salt in it.
It's fine.
It's two
It's the
totally
same thing.
different things.
It's not the same thing, but it's totally fine.
Every person that I've told this story to, they're like, "Oh no, those are two." I'm like, I know.
Let's rewind. Unless you want it. I'm interrupting, Emma. You're not that. Go ahead. I'll rewind.
Pet peeves in action.
But then, you know, just watching him in the kitchen drives me nuts because he does everything like a man. He had to put eggs and heavy cream and combine them. He goes, "Where was the wooden spoon that was on the counter?" I go, "I already put it in the dishwasher." "Why?" He goes, "Well, I was going to use it to blend the stuff." I'm like, "Okay, here." I like got it out of the dishwasher and gave it to him. And like, he's trying to help. He's doing his best. I know he can do better. But after it was done, I like looked first at it. I go, "I can't do this anymore. Give me that. Get out of the kitchen." And I like got the whisk out and like I whisked it together. I'm like, "You can't do that." So go ahead.
Is it my turn? This is actually really ironic what was just said. I want to make a comparison. So before I rewind and say what I was going to say, this is really ironic. So she just said I do it like a man, implying that the improvising and the using a different tool that's not designed for that, right? Remember the story about doing the blinds where we got into the argument? Let's have a circle.
Calling back to that.
Okay? I'm asked to come help do the blinds, right? Me foreshadowing. Do you need me to bring tools? No. I don't need to bring tools. Okay, so I go over. I drive a half hour to go help. Let's not forget how far apart our places are. I find Brandi hanging blinds, pounding a screw or a nail into the wall with a can of soup. So when we talk about doing something like a man and not using the proper tool to get said task done, I think there's plenty to go around when we talk about that. Now, I agree. I probably should have used a whisk.
Whisk.
I don't know. I should have used a whisk, whatever. But at the end of the day, it was good. And it was
because
fine.
I took over and I was.
And I'm very grateful she was helping. But, I mean, that wasn't a big deal. It's fine that you corrected that. But it's just funny how you said that the doing things like a man thing. But back to me wanting to rewind that story a little bit to set that stage. So, as you mentioned, Pinterest, it gives you a 3-page recipe.
I looked at Pinterest today and
Interrupting. Interruption.
to look at a drink recipe, and I couldn't find what was in the drink, so I just was like, I'm not looking at this.
It gives you a 3-page recipe. And then at the very bottom, so the recipe, it gives you all kinds of information. It has a bold header where it says how to make this, and it gives you 3 more paragraphs. And then at the very, very, very bottom, it gives you the measurements. Mm-hmm. And now, I cook here and there, not a lot, and only once in a while does it require a recipe, whatever I'm doing. And that's usually when she asks me to do something ahead of, hey, can you get this started? I'm coming home from work, and that's when I'll have a recipe. If I'm just randomly cooking something that no. Yeah, I'm not following a recipe. Well, she always sends a Pinterest recipe. And she says she's mentioned it before, which she has, but let's remember, these are months apart. It's not like we've had this conversation within a couple days of each other. I very rarely have to look at this thing. So I'm going through it, and yeah, of course, I see how it's made, and I start doing it. And she came in, and I said, "This is a really good recipe. I just wish they'd give you the measurements." And she almost had a.
I go, "I have told you this before. You have to scroll."
Scroll. What are you gonna do? But at the end of the day, it was good.
Yeah.
The garlic salt thing, as silly as it was, didn't make it bad. It wasn't the end of the world.
It's fine. But yeah, if I ever want him to do something, like I just have to be out of the room. I can't watch him. I was trying to be nice, to be like an assistant. I started like cleaning up because a lot of the time I do cook just by myself, and he sits on the couch, and I'll ask him to do something here and there, which he is more than willing to help if I ask. But I thought that maybe he would ask me to do something, and he didn't. And then I just kept staring at him, doing all the wrong things, and I just lost it.
What was it that you made? I must know.
It was the keto
Big Mac casserole thing.
Casserole, yeah.
It's like ground beef and other stuff that tastes like a Big Mac. And it's awesome.
Oh, so good. It's my favorite.
But beyond the whisk, What else did I not do right? I
And
can't think
garlic
of
salt.
anything. The garlic salt, right? But you weren't there for that.
No.
You said you were watching me do everything wrong. I'm curious what else is floating
No.
around up there.
It was just
Nothing.
the whiskey.
It was nothing else.
That's
See what
it.
she was trying to do
That's
there.
it.
But I
I'm
did
watching
take
him do
over.
everything wrong.
I
It's one
did
thing.
take over. I bet if you were to pour that egg and heavy cream into the casserole, you would have just done it right in the middle. And
Oh,
not,
yeah, for
like,
sure.
spread it
100%.
out. Exactly.
100% would have done that wrong.
Yep.
Good.
Would've ruined the whole
foreshadowing.
thing.
Very good foreshadowing is something I appreciate and love about you. Great job with that.
I just learned to anticipate things.
I'm willing to help. I don't belong in the kitchen. I can admit that.
You make some things.
Yeah,
if
you
you
do.
let me. You can stick to the grill.
Yeah,
Anytime we have to grill,
can handle it.
There you go.
get it.
Grill
Clear
master.
division of labor.
Yep. Well, guys, I think we did almost 2 hours here. What do you think? You want to go 2 more?
I don't
Maybe
think your
next
camera
time.
will last. Yeah.
Next time. Yeah.
Next time, yeah, we
Yeah.
would definitely like to come back. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe I'll be engaged. I mean,
Well, if it's within 3 years.
I know, yeah. But then we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, this was great, guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I mean, this is kind of just like what we do every day.
Banter. It's all about banter.
Yeah.
This is just what we do. All
Well, we
the
were
time.
saying
This
during
is
the break,
nice.
you got to start your own.
Yeah,
Something.
right.
Something.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah. But we appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Really had a good time. A lot of keen insights from
Yes.
experienced couple.
Wise.
Wise
Never been
beyond
called
yours.
that before. It's so funny. It's so funny. I could go off on a whole tangent, but we're at the end.
Next
Oh my
time.
God, he knows how to stop himself.
Oh.
Okay, on that note.
And good night.
Well, again, guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of AM and the PM with our guests, Brandi and Jordan. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.